How's it going? Welcome to another video. And what the heck is that? Oh my, it's a piece of cheese. Did you see what I just did? I ate the cheese and its rind. We've seen some of this brought back, the remains of the cheese platter brought back to the kitchen so we can clean up. And probably didn't get a word in edgewise when we were serving this particular cheese called Cyprien. It's from France, cow's milk. The rind is washed in walnut liqueur 3 times. And you're supposed to eat the rind. We see pieces of rind coming back, like, I'll eat everything but, like they very carefully gnawed out the creamy cheese part and thought they weren't supposed to eat the rind. You're supposed to eat the rind. That's the message of the day, food-wise today. I'm proving it to you. Eat the rind, and then you can fully appreciate the fact that this was soaked in walnut liqueur, baptized 3 times. Cyprien is the name of the cheese, C-Y-P-R-I-E-N. We very wholeheartedly endorse it, enthusiastically sell it downstairs. Man, it's good. Maybe we should serve it as the cheese and meat platter that is offered at next week's events, plural. Today's first topic is basically to announce that the Charles Neal imports, the French wines that he goes over there to France and finds. The first event that we are offering, where Tom and I stand in front of you and show you 12, that's coming. 12 different wines that Charles Neal found for us over there in France. That happens on Tuesday. That Tuesday offering sold out within 24 hours of you learning about it a week ago. But we promised you, we suggested that there was a possibility of another event. Yes, one day later, Tom and I will come back, rub our eyes, wake back up, have some coffee, and then hit these wines again with you. Those of you who couldn't come on Tuesday, you can now come on Wednesday. We've already sold to about, I think, 12 seats. But that means there are 12 more seats available on Wednesday of next week. And we hope we can have you. Let's just quickly give you an idea. I've done a video or 2 about this already. I may finish my cheese and just say that 12 different wines from France, as found by one of our favorite importers, Charles Neal, will be represented to you by myself and a very good friend of mine, Tom Switzer, who is Charles Neal's rep to us, you could say. Tom Switzer has been showing us Charles Neal wines forever, including this wine right here, Repertoire Champagne, will represent the champagne category. This wine right here is from Beaujolais, not just Beaujolais, but Cru Beaujolais. It's really good Beaujolais for a really good price. Normally this stuff called Morgon from Beaujolais is costing about $30 these days. This doesn't, and that's the other thing we like about Charles. He finds good wine and represents very, very, very good value. Morgon. Let's go to the Loire Valley, at least once. Let's have a Sancerre. You've all heard of Sancerre, right? Sancerre, single vineyard Sancerre. So whereas we love carrying this guy's product called Dolny Sancerre, this, because the event is special, because the people signing up for it are committing themselves and expecting very, very, slightly better stuff. This is the slightly better stuff from that producer Dolny. He makes regular Sancerre and he makes this Clos de Chardonnay, not Chardonnay, Chardonnay, which is single vineyard Sancerre. It's brilliant. It's lovely. We'll be having that. Hey, how about this? This is a label many of you have come to recognize and appreciate. This is from Chablis. Chablis, we've been over it. You guys now know that Chablis is a location in France. It's not a jug wine in Central Valley, California. The real deal is 100% Chardonnay, grown in a very cold place, riddled with Kimmeridgian limestone, and it's in northern Burgundy, France. And this is going to be a Premier Cru. Bayonne is the name of this particular Premier Cru plot. Location. We're into that. This will be one of the great wines of the night. I'm looking around the table to see what else we have. Ooh, If we're going to be doing Chablis, why don't we go farther south as well and have something a little more voluptuous? Right next to Chassagne and Pouligny-Montrachet is this area called Saint-Aubin. And Saint-Aubin can often offer you tremendous white Burgundy value based on proximity. That's another buzzword of mine for buying Burgundy and wanting to spend maybe a buck less but still get great quality. Proximity, by proximity, folks. What else? I'm looking for more wine. I know there's more wine. Yes, how about Crozes Hermitage? Yes, we're going to visit the Rhone Valley not once but 3 times. The Northern Rhone once, and then we'll go down to Gigondas once. I don't have that bottle to show you, but I do have this bottle to show you. If I can just find the darn thing. There it is. Roger Perrin, Châteauneuf-du-Pape. This is a beautiful wine every year. One of our best values in Châteauneuf-du-Pape. It will be represented along with a Gigondas. What else are we doing at the Charles Neal event? Am I overwhelming you yet? You know what we never do? What we really do is damn good Bordeaux. Here is damn good Bordeaux from a freaking great Bordeaux vintage called 2016. Bel-Air Ouy, Saint-Emilion Grand Cru. This will kick ass, I promise. You can think of the cold winter months and all those things you would be cooking during those hopefully rainy nights. Let's have some rainy nights, shall we? This is fantastic. Bordeaux Rouge. We want to represent all the great places. Champagne and Burgundy, red and white, the Rhone. Let's go to a place though. Let's do one thing that you wouldn't necessarily anticipate. We will go to Savoie and pour you a grape that you might not know called Mondouse from a producer you certainly don't know called Trossé. And this is Trossés Avalanche. You could say avalanche, but it wouldn't sound as French and as fun, right? So this is Avalanche, where in fact an avalanche or avalanche occurred about 100 years ago and created a new terroir in which now the grapes are grown. So Mondouse, the grape, Avalanche, the nickname for this wine, from Arbin in the Savoie region of France. Very beautiful area, and finally we get to drink that beautiful area instead of just see it on the Tour de France. This is just to say there are about 12 seats remaining for the Charles Neal tasting on Wednesday of next week. The Tuesday edition is fully full, and we would love to see those of you who are still interested in coming on Wednesday. Next announcement. It is Wine Club time. Your Wine Club wines for September. Wine Club members are now ready to pick up, and I thought I would just maybe I'll pick out 3 or 4 of them to say why I'm so interested in, why I'm so excited about this or this or this or this. I need a wine glass because I don't tell you how excited I am about a wine without tasting it with you. So how about this? If you've been on our world-class wine club for some years, you will recognize this label, and I hope you'll be happy to see it again. Of course, it's a different vintage every time. This comes from Tuscany. It's what we call a Super Tuscan because it's rather unconventional in its cépage or grape ingredients. This uses all Bordeaux grape varieties, especially Merlot, Cabernet Franc, and Cabernet Sauvignon. It's called Il Fano di Alcanum, and it is gorgeous. This may be my favorite rendition ever. 2018, I think Decanter magazine gave it 94 points. I don't care, we give it 100. For the price, for all the attitude, the concentration, the character, the durability of this wine per its price, you have kick-ass wine here. I can't say that 100% of the time about anything we choose for you, but here everything, at least for me, for my palate, the stars align. This is in fact a wine of which I am going to store some for myself personally, at least half a case, for the next 3 or 4 years, maybe 8 or 10 years. This wine will go that long. Man, it is Tuscany, even though there's no Sangiovese in it. You can smell it, but you can also smell right bank Bordeaux because of what it's made of. It's so cool. The power, the structure, how much material is in this red wine for starting price like $32, and it dips under $30 for you Wine Club members who get 10% off everything you buy here. Il Fano, very, very pleased to give this to you world-class Wine Club members. Look forward to that. Hey, how about this? This is cool. I need a white wine glass. Where are you? I got the glass. Where's the wine? Recognize this? If you were in our white wine club a few years ago, you'll say, hey, I think that looks familiar because the bottle's distinctive. And if you were to look more carefully, you'll see the name Ferment. That's the name of the grape. This is in fact a white wine from Hungary. Ferment is perhaps better known as a major ingredient in one of the greatest dessert wines of the world, which is from this part of Hungary. This is Tokaj, but this is dry Tokaj. Sweet Tokaj, very, very famous. Historically, it was the dessert wine favored by the czars and sent back to Russia with wagons that were escorted by armed guards just so that dessert wine would get there. Well, here now, finally, we get to try dry white made out of ferment from Hungary. It really worked for us a couple years ago in the wine club, and it does again. This is a lot of nose. This has qualities of Sauvignon Blanc and Viognier and Rhone all put together. There's a vibrancy, like a citrus peel nerve, and a richness at the same time that you just sense both things going on in the nose. Haven't even tasted it yet. A little bit of body, no oak, but there's some richness and yet citrus peel nerve. This thing dances on my tongue. Very, very, very fun wine. You who have been in the white wine club for a while will be very nostalgic about seeing this appear in your wine club pack again. Those of you who have never heard of it will say, like, automatically, boom, I like this wine. I love this wine. It's delicious. Maybe there's one more wine club wine to describe for you real quick. If I could just track it down. What do we have up here? Yeah, let's get conventional for once, and let's say that there is a club that we offer called the California Wine Lovers Club. We ought to call it the West Coast Wine Lovers Club because, in fact, we reference Washington and sometimes Oregon as often as we do California. But basically, it's red wines that are domestic. In other words, not the Wine Adventure Wine Club wines. Those are all foreign. This is the alternative. Well, actually, it's the expected. A lot of you guys and gals are members of our California Wine Lovers Club because you anticipate New World fruit, flavors that are, I don't want to say predictable, but flavors that are delicious and very available to you, and wines you can open up for your friends who are coming over, and your friends won't suspect you of being a wine geek. I mean, you're a generous provider of good wine, and they'll say, where the hell did that come from? That's great for the price. But they won't think that you're this person who's just lost it and gone all the way over to European wine drinking, which would be fine with me, but it's all about you and your friends, right? That's how we have to treat the way we share wines. This is called Elizabeth Rose. It's all Napa Valley wine, and it's by the time your wine club discount kicks in, it's right about $20 or maybe even a couple pennies below. It uses Cabernet and Merlot and Camp Franc and all of those great, well-known Bordeaux varieties. It's grown in the Napa Valley, and that's actually unusual to access truly, honestly good red wine grown in the Napa Valley at this price anymore. More often than not, the flavors are manufactured, or it's a winery in the Napa Valley, and the fruit sourcing is anywhere but. The fruit came from Lodi and Mendocino and so on, and those places can give you good juice, but the great juice is from the Napa Valley, and in this case is represented in Elizabeth Rose Choco Block. Second time we have clubbed this wine. This is made by the Ghost Block people. If you've heard of Ghost Block, they own a very, very famous vineyard across the street from Mustard's Restaurant in the Yountville area. And in fact, Nicola Nickel buys fruit from there. So great pedigree happening here, and very recognizable, delicious Napa smells of dark cherries and also black olive and herb. The whole package of the Napa Valley set of scents and flavors happens all in this rather obtainably priced wine. It's not oversized, it's also not light, it is just right, and very obviously not overmade, not manufactured. That's why we respect it here at the Wine Steward, Pleasanton, California. I've just covered 3 of the the wine club wines for this month, and that's all I'm going to do. I'm writing the notes about all 12, and I hope that all of our wine club members read their notes. It's one of the add-ons of quality of provision that we provide to the wine club members. We write crazy notes, and they're meant to be helpful, like what do you eat with this wine and so on. But I must move on. I must move on to one more topic. I must find another glass and tell you that we have a wine bar menu all printed out and ready for you. And the cool news is that we not only now have a red wine flight, but there's a white wine trio that you can treat as a flight as well. I should say a refreshing wine trio, because it's actually 2 whites and 1 rosé. But the menu is composed. Come on in and taste these wines, and let me tell you about them really quickly. Of course, every weekend we put a sparkling wine on the wine bar menu. This time it is Coutier. Coutier is a small production champagne, Grand Cru fruit, and we love it. Sometimes we're doing Cava, sometimes we're doing Prosecco. But this time we are buying up, and hope you too will splurge about coming upstairs and saying, ooh, champagne, honey, are you gonna buy me a glass? It's like, hopefully somebody is buying you a glass of Coutier champagne. Grand Cru, beautiful stuff. It's the real deal. Every once in a while, it's real champagne as the sparkling wine on our menu. Now, the first white wine, you can do this as a glass, or you can do it in our refreshing wine flight. This is Péjus Sauvignon Blanc. Péjus is, of course, very familiar to people who drive up and down Highway 29 in the Napa Valley. It's got all those like Dr. Seussian trees out in front lining their driveway. And we are familiar with Péjus because they've been there since the early 80s. Péjus, you know, think about like how young Napa Valley actually is. It's not an old wine place, right? I mean, there's a few places that have been there for 100 years, but most of them showed up about, some of them, like a lot of them 20 years ago, but the old guard is actually the 40-year-old places like Péjus. Sauvignon Blanc from Péjus, clean, fresh. This is a Sauv Blanc that will offend nobody because some people like don't want too much of that so-called cat pee or the herbaceousness. This is pure, fresh snow melt, I'm calling it on the menu. It's like snow melt. It's clean, it's fun, it's good. It's easy to drink. We want that. Easy to drink and easy to afford, I would say. Now, we are going to tell you about the next white, if I can find it. It is a Chablis. I can tell you about it before I find it. There it is, here it is. It's Petit Chablis. So Petit Chablis has a lower incidence of Kimmeridgian limestone. So in other words, the French name their wines or recognize their wines regionally, typically. Chablis is the name of a location. Petit Chablis is kind of like on the outskirts of Chablis proper. And it is, you know, usually down a couple bucks in price because the soil that it inhabits, the vines there, are not referencing as much Kimmeridgian limestone. And Kimmeridgian limestone is the stuff with a bunch of fossilized seashells in it. There's not as many of those here, but I swear to God, I think the lines kind of blur because when you have this particular Petit Chablis, I think you are buying up to Chablis quality. So this is one of those sneaky little opportunities to taste Chablis quality white Burgundy at Petit Chablis pricing. It's brilliant. No oak gets in the way of the picture of the limestone and the Chardonnay. Cold weather, you know, it's not like big lascivious oaky buttery style wine. It's quite the opposite. A lot of you guys are already sold on this, and I applaud your open-mindedness. More of you should know what Chablis is, what Petit Chablis is, and so on. You want to have a fantastic Premier Cru Chablis? Come to the Kermit Lynch wine event. And within that trio, or just order a glass of it, we brought some more of this in. This is Shiaka Niruch. Really weird name for a dry rosé from Corsica. What the guy is doing in his title of the wine is abbreviating the 2 ingredients. The Chiracarello and Iulucciu are both in here. Chiracarello is a native of Corsica, we believe, and Neoluccio is quite possibly Sangiovese, but some people argue with that idea. It could be a mutation of Sangiovese, or it could be Corsica's own red grape that reminds people of Sangiovese. So it could be reminiscent or a mutation thereof. This is no oak bone dry rosé that completes the red trio, or the zinger trio. I don't know what to call this thing yet. Because it was only a couple of months ago that we finally introduced a red flight back to our menu, and people have been saying, hey, where's the white flight? Come on. Well, the best we can do right now is a fusion flight of, like, the theme is refreshment. So a couple of whites and a dry rosé. We will hopefully pacify you with that until we're fully fledged white flighting and so on. This is a nice wine. Try Corsican wine. Corsican rosés are like, they're kick-ass. They're assertive. They're a little bit angry, and you want some protein with them. Have some protein with this. Shakaneluch. Let's all practice. Now, the cool red flight that we're doing. Why don't I get all of these up here? See if the platform can manage it. And then you will hopefully be gazing upon a certain family resemblance of labels, because it was only 2 days ago that we were tasting all 4 of these wines and realizing we like them all. Why don't we make a flight of it? This is a producer called Domaine Fond Creuse. They are located in the northern part of the southern Rhone Valley of France. So in other words, your southern Rhone, where Grenache is usually the prevailing main ingredient in the red wines, though it's usually blended with other things like Syrah and Mourvedre, right? In the northern part of the southern Rhone, all of a sudden that idea starts to erode a little bit depending on where you are, and you might see exceptions to that in the wines. And this producer bears that out very well. I put these 4 wines all as a quartet for you to taste as a flight. I like them all. I think they're all delicious, especially when you get home to the grill and do some nice protein, some chicken, pork, or lamb, and some grilled veggies, some shrooms would be good too. Domaine Fond Creuse. I know it's an unusual name, but we think it can become a household name for you. Domaine Fond Creuse is arranged on the flight 4 reds in a row by what barrels or what containers they inhabited in the winery, starting with really, really big all the way down to a traditional sized barrel. In other words, the first wine, this wine called Confidence, you could say confidence, but I'd rather say confidence, the same way we didn't say avalanche, we said avalanche. It's, you know, we're just pretending we're French. Confidence by Domaine Fond Creuse is fermented and aged entirely in enormous swimming pool sized vats, never sees a barrel at all. The next wine sees only really big barrels called puncheons. The next wine sees slightly smaller barrels that I would call a hogshead, but still bigger than a traditional barrel. The final wine is all the way down to a regular sized barrel, the likes of which you would see on a winery tour in the Napa Valley, the 228 liter barrique or barrel. So what's kind of cool is they've thought about how each one of these wines kind of needs a certain resting place. And with the Rhone Valley wines, you don't usually want to use a small barrel unless you're doing all Syrah, and that's what we end up with. But in fact, most of these are going to be Grenache and Syrah blends. One of them, the Rasteau, uses Grenache, Syrah, and Mourvedre. And then the final wine is 100% Syrah from the northern part of the southern Rhone Valley. That excites me. It would excite me even more to talk to you face to face about all of these wines. And this new producer, and just 2 extra side points, bullet points for this particular producer. They own 80 hectares. A hectare is about 2.4 acres. So do the math. That's going to be about 200 acres. They own about 200 acres of fruit in the southern Rhone, different locations. All of it is organically grown. And then all of the winemaking is overseen by a guy, a larger than life guy named Philippe Cambie. He has an enormous effect on the quality of Châteauneuf-du-Pape wines, and he does work in the villages nearby. So we're near Châteauneuf-du-Pape with this winery, and Philippe Camby takes a little car ride up and helps them with their winemaking. Having his name attached to any wine automatically, I promise you, makes the wine more delicious. So it's kind of cool. We like this brand. We just met it 2 days ago, and it's debuting on the wine bar this weekend. So we hope you will come in and check these out. And by the way, back to the Charles Neal event real quick. We found one more wine that we wanted to pour. So we're now at 12 wines for that event. I think I alluded to that earlier. The best grape in the world, called Chenin Blanc, will be represented in this wine from Saumur. Not Vouvray, not Mont-Louis-sur-Loire, not Savinier, but Saumur, one of the Loire Valley locations for Chenin Blanc. It's dry, it's gorgeous, and Tom and I can't wait to tell you about this one too. So not 11, but 12 wines enjoyed next Tuesday and next Wednesday, 12 seats remaining. And we hope you'll sign up at thewinesteward.com. We hope to see you at the wine bar, and wine club members come and get your goodies, and sign up for next week. Let's see you. Thank you very much for everything, folks. Bye-bye now. And remember that cheese, the walnut cheese, eat the rind.